Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will be talking about the significance of 11th August for Baloch people. The day is celebrated as a symbolic Independence Day in Balochistan. People of Balochistan are celebrating Independence Day today. It was on this day in 1947 that Balochistan got independence from British rule. But within months, Pakistan invaded it and occupied it. Since then, the people of Balochistan have been struggling and fighting for freedom from Pakistani occupation. Their fight has been relentless in the face of extreme brutalities by the Pakistani forces and agencies. In the agenda today, we will try to understand the issue in detail with our special guest, Mr. Hamal Haider, International Representative of Baloch National Movement. Mr. Haider is joining us from London. But before we start conversation with Mr. Haider, let us have a look at this small report.
It was on this day in 1947 when Balochistan got independence from British rule. Shortly thereafter, the local ruler called Khan of Kalat formed Balochistan's parliament comprising House of Commons and House of Lords. On 16 December 1947, a session of both houses of Balochistan's parliament was convened to discuss whether or not to join Pakistan. Both the houses voted against joining Pakistan. But within months, Pakistan invaded Balochistan, imprisoned the Khan of Kalat and his family members within the palace and took control of Balochistan. Since then, the people of Balochistan have been celebrating this day as Independence Day, even as the struggle for freedom from Pakistan. The people of Balochistan remain impoverished even though the province is rich in natural resources like gas, which is exploited by Pakistan. The Baloch people have been facing immense atrocities committed by the Pakistani police, armed forces and intelligence agencies. Beside the state-backed gangsters, killings and enforced disappearance of Baloch people are reported every day. There are some activists and even commoners in Balochistan who remain missing even a decade after abduction by the state forces. While the endless wait of their kith and kin continues, there are some lucky families who receive at least bodies of their abducted dear ones, even though some in mutilated conditions. HRW reported that 70 bodies of missing persons were discovered in Balochistan between July 2010 and February 2011, just a period of 7 months. In January this year, a mass grave was found in Tutak, a few hours' drive from Quetta. In July 2011, the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan issued a report on illegal disappearances in Balochistan and identified the ISI and Frontier Corps as the perpetrators. Human rights violations have been in the form of aerial bombing and rape of Baloch women, etc. Human Rights Watch believes the violations have reached epidemic proportions and the Pakistani government hasn't done much to stop these transgressions. The Baloch people are yearning for intervention by the global human rights and other bodies so that their miseries could end and they could be free again. Bureau Report.
So let's welcome our special guest, Mr. Haider. Mr. Haider, my first question to you is, why are Baloch people celebrating Independence Day today?
Baloch are celebrating Independence Day because on the 11th of August 1947, Balochistan was announced as an independent country, and we were an independent country till 27th March 1948. So that's the reason, that's why we celebrate 11th of August as our Independence Day.
You have been struggling for freedom from Pakistan. Why do you want freedom from Pakistan? Why do Baloch not want to live with Pakistan?
As a nation, we have every right to ask for independence, and it's every nation's national right to be sovereign, to be independent, not to be occupied by any other forces. As the British left the subcontinent in 1947, they also let Balochistan gain its independence. But in 1948, Pakistan unjustly, illegally invaded Balochistan and occupied it without the will of the people of Balochistan and without the consent of Baloch people. However, there was a proposal put forward by Muhammad Ali Jinnah and his Pakistani authorities, but that proposal was unanimously refused by Baloch upper house and lower house both. So it was clear, it's a fact, that Baloch people never accepted Pakistan as their country, and it was illegally occupied. That's why, from the day one, when Balochistan was occupied by Pakistan, Baloch people have been struggling, time to time, struggling against Pakistan's unjust occupation and asking for their total independence.
So, as you said, that Baloch people have been struggling and fighting over last 70 years, but Pakistan has only been enforcing its grip on Balochistan. So, how do you go about? How feasible do you think your freedom is possible? Is it possible or not?
No, it's not the question of feasibility. It's the question of our right. As a nation, we deserve to be independent. And for that, we will fight until the last drop of our blood, because that's our right. We don't think, we know that Pakistan is using iron hands to crush our movement. It's abducting, killing, rampaging villages, bulldozing our crops, burning our houses, and killing our innocent civilians indiscriminately. But yet, we are fighting against Pakistan because this occupation over Balochistan is illegal, and it is our right to be independent. And we know that currently there is no huge pressure on Pakistan, but we are hopeful that we will raise our voice, and with the help of other good powers in the world, we will put some pressure on Pakistan so they stop killing people and give Balochistan their freedom.
So, as you just mentioned about the atrocities being committed by Pakistan, like enforced disappearances and rampaging of villages and killing people, and you are representing Baloch national movement internationally. How much international support do you think Baloch struggle is getting?
Well, we don't have much. We don't have much support from international powers, to be honest. But we have been trying our best to tell them what's going on in Balochistan. We are also looking forward to India, which is a big country who has keen interest in Pakistan's issues. So we have been telling them to come forward and raise Balochistan's issue on genuine political basis, because as the biggest democracy in the world and is a key player in that region, India can play a huge role in highlighting Balochistan's human rights violation that Pakistani authorities, Pakistani state itself is committing in Balochistan. So we know that we don't have much support because of Pakistan's duplicity, because Pakistan's manipulation of their Islamic forces in that region, so using different blackmailing tactics. That's why we don't have a strong support outside the world, because people in the outside world and the big democratic countries, especially the Western countries, don't know much about Balochistan, and we don't have good platforms to go and raise our voices, because we get blocked whenever we try to go to the UN's Human Rights Council to expose Pakistan atrocities. We usually get blocked by Pakistani officials working at UN. So there's a fundamental issue that we are facing right now. While on the other hand, there are uh, powers like India who know Pakistan's true face and who have been opposing Pakistan on Kashmir issues. But we don't see a very strong support in terms of Balochistan's human rights issues, the human rights violation and crimes that Pakistani establishment, especially Pakistani military and its spy agency ISI, is committing in Balochistan. So there needs to be some sort of, support from the Indian government and especially Indian people. We know that now you people are trying to get our opinion and trying to listen to us and convey our messages to Indian people and the people in the world at large. There's a good effort. But I think you and your government should go beyond verbal support, and there should be an active support. So we can show Pakistan's true face, and we can get help from human rights bodies to pressurize Pakistan to stop killing innocent people on the basis of difference of opinion in Pakistan. It's not only Baloch, but minorities, Sindhis, Pashtuns, and no one is happy being with Pakistan. Everyone, except for a certain Punjabi elite who are part of Pakistani military, no one is happy being with Pakistan. So there is it's an opportunity for the good powers of the world to take advantage of it, support these ethnic groups, nationalities, and minorities, and end Pakistan's state terrorism in that region.
So, as you mentioned just now, that India is not giving you enough support, only verbal comments, and not doing enough to raise your, voice for you people. But Pakistan always accuses India of supporting Baloch people and Baloch struggle. So, how do you see that? What is your comment on that?
Pakistan, as I said before, Pakistan has a dual face. It supports Kashmiri independence movement on one hand, while on the other hand, it calls us terrorists. We are as much freedom fighter, as much any other ethnic group who are asking for their freedom. But still, we have been blamed for being the Indian agents, and even we were blamed to be the agents of Mossad and Israel. So Pakistan can go to any length to propagate, to show us being as proxies. But as a matter of fact, we are not proxy. We have a genuine political movement going on. We have non-militant groups like BNM and BSU who are strongly struggling and have been struggling for the last 2 decades. And hundreds of our members, political leaders, have been killed in this recent uprising. While there are other militant groups who are struggling by using different means, by using militant means. They also think that this is the only way to fight against Pakistan, because Pakistan does not understand the language of politics. It understands only the language of violence. So this is their opinion, but it's a genuine political movement risen from Balochistan's Baloch society, and people are part of it. People are shedding their blood. People are being killed. People are facing immense amount of state terrorism, but still they are part of this movement. This justifies that this movement is not a proxy. This movement is not some sort of a construct, but it's a genuine political movement being led by genuine Baloch leadership, especially those leaders who are common Baloch, like BNM, BSO, and other militant groups are not being run by any particular type of Sardar or just a particular type of elite group, but these are common Baloch people who are running and leading this movement forward with a vision which will make Balochistan a prosperous democratic country in the future if we are successful in getting our freedom from Pakistan.
So, do you want to suggest that Pakistan is defaming your indigenous movement by labeling you as Indian agents and claiming that India is supporting you? Is that true?
Because they are, yes, they want to defame our national movement to call us agents. The states normally do. Pakistan is no exception. In Pakistan is a country which is against terrorism on one hand, while on the other hand, it's supporting these militant groups discreetly. And it's a known fact to the world. It's not a secret anymore. Pakistan says that we are agents of India or any other group, even because they mostly believe in conspiracy theories. But if we had India's support, if we had, we would welcome it. And if we had, we wouldn't be in the situation that we are unable to put a genuine, pressure on Pakistan. If we had support of India, there would be a fact-finding mission sent from the UN at the request of India into Balochistan to investigate Pakistan's crime in Balochistan. So we don't have such a support, and that's why we are lacking in highlighting our human rights issues. So that's the reason, I think. And we welcome any support if we get. We don't care if Pakistan call us agent or anything. As a nation, we can get support from any power. We can get support from any society to gain our independence, to end Pakistan's atrocities and Pakistan's inhuman act in Balochistan. That would be for a good cause.
What exactly do you want from India? What kind of support do you want from India?
India can do a lot. India can highlight Balochistan's human rights violations to their platforms. India can take this issue to United Nations Human Rights Council and can request or urge the United Nations to send a fact-finding machine into Balochistan to independently investigate the human rights crimes that Pakistani military are committing there. There are reports who suggest that Pakistan is involved in not only abducting Baloch political activists, but they are also involved in abducting Pashtuns, Sindhis, and other minorities. There are documentary evidence that the Pakistani intelligence agencies are involved in supporting Islamic groups. They are supporting those sectarian groups who are killing minorities in Pakistan. So there are a lot of everything that is enshrined in United Nations charter. Pakistan is violating all of them. There is no freedom of expression. There is no freedom of religion and belief. There is no freedom of the minorities and the ethnic groups. There is no respect for human rights. Everything Pakistan is doing is actually against the human rights principle of the United Nations. So these are some concrete issues that India can take up to the United Nations and bring Pakistan to the table and held it accountable.
Pakistan has been crying over the issue of Kashmir and crying about the situation in Kashmir. But when they commit all the brutalities in Balochistan or maybe in Sindh and Pakhtunkhwa, how do you see that diabolic approach?
I mean, it's, as I said, Pakistan is, the atrocities that Pakistan is committing are barbaric. They are not existent in this time and age in any other part of the world. Pakistan is a state, is directly involved in extrajudicially abducting people, openly supporting militants, Islamic militants, openly supporting now. They are openly supporting Taliban groups, and they are involved in their negotiations. They are using them as bargaining chip to gain financial support. So these are some evidence and some important and some crucial issues related to Pakistan that are causing instability and in that region. Especially Afghanistan is suffered a lot in history. A country which was once a great country is now a fragile, destabilized country because of Pakistan, because of Pakistani Mujahideen and Pakistani Taliban. So it's not only their foreign policy, and it's not only their strategic assets they are causing problems, but they are also, as a state itself, their intelligence agencies are openly violating human rights, that are fundamental rights of human beings. So Pakistan is doing a lot. Pakistan can be exposed if we have will to go against Pakistan as a country. If India can, if they will to expose Pakistan, if they have the will to expose Pakistan, then they will get evidence to expose it, and they will get support from minorities like Hindus, Christians, and any other group that are suffering at the hands of Pakistani sponsored Islamic militants. India will get support from Baloch, Sindhi, and other ethnic groups in this regard.
So now after Pakistan, we have been reading that not only Pakistan, now it is also China which is exploiting the resources of Balochistan. What is your comment on that?
China is not a democracy. China is a dictatorship. China wants to expand its military and its financial influence in that region, and it's expanding, building port in Africa and Far East, and Balochistan is part of their agenda. That's why they are working with Pakistan, and I think a country like China would be more comfortable working with Pakistan, because Pakistan is a country which can be bought, sold for getting support. Pakistan is a suitable choice for them to exploit the situation and use Balochistan for their military and financial purposes. So that's why they are working with Pakistan, and we have openly opposed it, and Baloch people will not allow China or any other country to work there independently and without the will of Baloch people. So that's not possible. So there have been attacks and there have been political demonstrations in Balochistan, and people of Balochistan do not want China to come and exploit Balochistan and use their land without their consent. So this is clearly evident. So China must know that Baloch people do not consider themselves part of Pakistan, and they cannot be exploited through Pakistan, because Baloch people know that Pakistan is not only the occupier of Balochistan, not only the exploiter of Balochistan's resources, but Pakistan is also the killer of Baloch people. They are killing our people brutally. They are using drug traffickers, they are using death squads to use the brutalist means of torture, killing our people. So there is no love for Pakistan, and there is no love for China in Balochistan. China is strongly not welcomed in Balochistan. China must stay away from Balochistan if they they want stability in that region. Then they should not support Pakistan, and they will not be welcomed in Balochistan. Thank you.
We are running out of time. One brief comment on the recent decision, recent development where Balochistan Liberation Army forged an alliance with Sindhu Desh Army. How do you see that development?
There are things going on military, the guerrilla front in Balochistan. The more and more powers are trying to, the more ethnic groups are trying to align their struggle in order to show Pakistan as strong. Of course, I think the Sindhis are now risen up. The Sindhis have now risen up, and they are taking up arms, and they might think that this is the only way to fight against Pakistan, because political activities are not allowed in Pakistan. So I see it as a new development. I see that the small groups and the ethnic group who have their separate identities are getting closer and forging alliances. So this is natural for one group to be allied with other group who have same interests, who have a common enemy. So that's why it's a development we have seen for the first time in history, that the Baloch guerrillas are forging alliance with Sindhi guerrillas. So that has a symbolic meaning, I guess, and Pakistan should be worried about it.
Okay, we hope that you also get independence sooner than later. Thank you so much for participating in this debate. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.